Hello everyone, and welcome to our Circle and Salve Women. For today's talk, we are going to be discussing take a moment to remember a moment. And this, for me, being a mother of 5, being married to my husband, one and only, for almost 30 years now, it really has come to such a lifelong lesson of, you know, just when you're stuck in what you feel is like a gutter, where you're just trying to make it through the day. And moms, I know you can relate to this, and dads who have had to deal with just raising children and doing everything you can to also make sure that the family stays strong. And it's just amazing how much energy that is required out of you, and you have to pull it out of somewhere sometimes when you have no idea where it's coming from. And so this is for me in really entitling. Now for me, I'm one of those people that I love reading bumper cars, because anything positive that enters my mind is always welcome. And so what I've also done in my home is I have anything that is just maybe one word, and you could see that when I do my tweets of imagery, of quotes, I always love like rocks that have just one word to remind me, whether it be love, whether it be hope or harmony. There are things that is always something that you can connect to and remind you of what to be thankful for. And so for me, in regards to taking a moment, I've had some moments of reflection to really go, wow, when I look back now, you know, I remember that moment and I can smile now. But in that moment, for anyone who's done many laps and you pushed hard to the very end, there are times where you're just thinking to yourself, let me just get this done and over with. And yet you forget to really take in that moment so you can remember it. So this is what I want to share with you. It states, don't hurry, don't worry, and don't forget to smell the flowers. This was given to me by my mentor when I was actually getting certified teaching, and her name was Sandra Jones. And it was just amazing how I loved it, and I was thankful for the bookmark. And as you can see, I keep it. But this is my personality. I'm an 85 miles per hour person, and typically never really good at dealing with adults. I believe that's why I'm usually around children, is because for me, I am totally sometimes immersed in my own thoughts, and I always feel like I have so much to say, and if there's silence, I feel like I have to fill it. And then all of a sudden I become a recluse and just kind of want to absorb the world from where I am, and I could be in the confined to my own home, into my own room, and that's my comfort. But yet, when you have children, it is so difficult to find that time alone. And if you have grandparents that take care of your kids, if you have that time where you actually invest in someone else taking care of your children. So I was a bit protective, still am, and I can honestly say I have no regrets in that. I've always been the one that, watching that movie a long time ago, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is the one that rules the world. I've always been that way, and I'm that way with my children and my own students. I'm quite possessive with the time I'm given with them, and I feel like it's another catch-22, because I put myself in a situation where I know inside sometimes I'm doing more than what I can handle, and yet I wouldn't give it to anyone else. This is my blessing. This is what I have to do, and no matter the challenge, then I'm going to go through it, and I'm just going to succeed and be victorious, and not care how tired I am. And I sometimes do not take the moment to embrace it, and therefore take that moment to go, what do I remember from this, and what can I take from this? And just that stopping and smelling the flowers is important. And so for this one in my article, I talked about, given that this year is almost coming to an end, I now reflect. I have these 3 words above my door, my bedroom door, before I walk out. And even though I don't look at it all the time, because it's there, and we take for granted all the things that are all the beautiful things that can be a reminder of how to think and how to feel each day. I know it's posted there so that in moments where I get to look, I am reminded of those words, and then I self-reflect and ask myself, and here they are: have you loved? Have you laughed? have you lived? And in no particular order, never should be, because all those three components are important for your soul, for your heart, for your spirit. And of course, your mind's always constantly thinking things that sometimes make everything else just become muddled and gray or just disappear. So for me, that love part is just as important as that laughing and that living part. And so you have to ask yourself, what does that mean to you when you have loved? Because it's defined differently. In my article, I talked about how my husband is definitely the romantic between he and I. There's no guilt there in admitting to it, and I'm grateful, because I'm terrible at planning anything ahead that would I consider to be romantic. I'm more of like, let's just go, let's just make it happen, and let's see where this takes us. When it comes to something that I want to find as an adventure, I just want to go in there and see what happens, and let's go check out this restaurant, let's check out that. My husband's more when it comes to something of that matter where he wants to make certain that everything is going to be what he envisions. And again, that harmony between the two becoming one is important, and I've always been thankful that he can do that. He can make the reservations and set up something that to make it happen. And so for me, when it comes to loving, however, that's him. With his quality time, that's who he is. And with me, it's the opposite, where for me, it's more of my service to you, and yet I also need that words of praise. Perhaps that's why I don't do a planning, because the fact that my husband is analytical, and perhaps I am too, and we check ourselves, it can be very difficult when you are serving your children, you're serving your husband, you're serving your students, whoever it is that you feel that you are serving to, and you're doing it out of love because you feel this is your definition of love. And then all of a sudden, you feel as if you haven't fulfilled it to the level of expectation. That's hard on me. That's hard on me. And so my biggest part in realizing that could perhaps be a weakness to my heart is, that feeling of rejection, that feeling of letting people down. And so I'm a 0 or 100. I either put my 100 in there or I don't, because it is that anticipation. If I put in my 100, I already know. You don't have to tell me I did great. But when I know that I can only put in 50, I don't want to be scored for my 50, because I already know it's going to be haphazard, and I don't want to be in a situation where I can't put in everything into it, because then I'm going to overthink it, I'm going to overdo it, and I'd rather not. And so for me, it's just that matter of understanding love. It took me some time to realize that while my husband, and he and I actually came to terms with this, while he was showing and expressing his love and I was expressing my love, there's this book, I believe it's called The 5 Love Languages, and it's just amazing how when you really discover how it is to know what is love to you, it is what you're giving, because you're thinking, for me, I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is what's going to be reciprocated, and this is what's going to happen, in my life. And then when it doesn't come back, you're like, hold on. How come it's not coming back? And then it's the same thing with my husband. If for all of a sudden he's like, it's time to watch a movie, let's all sit down, and I'm still doing something else, you can tell that he takes offense of it. And so you have to define your love and really ask yourself, have you loved? And take no guilt in doing it your way, but being careful to make sure that you're also understanding that true love means that you are not always giving the love that you feel is love. I've learned to really understand what makes someone else feel loved, and then I have to meet their way of thinking and their way of feeling. And if you're not there yet, don't worry, it took me some time. So just know, knowing what love is to you, it's going to take some time knowing what love means to other people. For me, it's almost 30 years, so you're okay. And of course, with my children, that's always going to be tough. Every child will have a different definition of what love is to them, and that's that journey of knowing and giving yourself forgiveness of not meeting their needs every time. Please know that, because it's just going to hurt you over and over and over again when you feel like you're not meeting everyone's needs. It's just something that you have to be okay with and give yourself permission to go, I'm trying my best here. The next one, of course, is laugh. And I read in the past several times, even fake laughing is a good thing, and I believe that. I actually just recently showed that with my younger kids. You know, when you make yourself laugh, there's something about this energy that goes into your system, and all of a sudden you're feeling just a little bit boisterous, like you just feel it's a feel good moment, and you don't have to have a reason to laugh. And I believe that there are those that are so resistant to laughing, and yes, life has happened, and we all have gotten hurt in one way or another, and that's real. You cannot sit here and say, move on and get over it. That's what we say, but we also have to accept that sometimes it takes people longer, and it's on them to then decide, well, how long am I going to just sit here and take this in before I decide to get out of it and then find joy. So when you do take a moment to laugh, whether it be watching some Comedy Central, I love watching anything comedy, and again, just those memes that crack me up when you really, really listen in and it can connect with you. I believe in my article I mentioned that one that said, don't grow up, it's a setup or it's a trap. And I just find it so hilarious to think that you can laugh about those moments, because the truth is real. And even in the midst of challenges, even in the midst of hurt, even in the midst of bitterness, you can take a moment to go, hold on, I'm going to remember this, and I'm going to have a moment to really think to myself, how can I laugh about this situation? Maybe I'm not laughing now, but what will there be from this moment that I can take that will be still in the light? And then lastly is, have you lived? And please, if you're saying duh, very, quite a rhetoric, right? Like when you think to yourself, of course we breathe. We definitely just get up and do the motion, and we go to work or whatever it is that we plan each day, and then we go back to bed once we've done what we had to do. The living piece is, to me, have you put in something that has mattered? Getting up is essential to being able to move around and go somewhere from one place to another. But what did you do to plant something in someone's life, whether it be fulfilling something that you wanted to fulfill or helping someone else? Have you put in something that is essential in that moment, where then you can look back and go, remember that time when I smiled at you and you smiled back and we didn't have to speak? I got you. Or remember that time when you said this to me and then I did this? That helped me, Just really reciprocating those moments of interaction. Now remember, I'm always the first to say that I'm not very good at hanging out with adults or so. And this is definitely my comfort zone. And I push myself though, because I know that it's not always for me. And I have said this just recently to my husband, that when I'm around other people, I say to myself, what can you give to them? I never, very rare, where I feel like, what can a person give to you? That completion, that sense of whatever I'm missing, could I do it for myself though? Do I need these other people? And yes, sometimes you go, oh, I want to feel the love. I want to hear the laughters. And that is just such a good feel inside. And yet you have to ask yourself, how have you lived today to matter in their lives? And you don't owe anyone anything. You really don't. You don't have to feel like you have to matter in someone else's life. They're not your judgment. They're not the ones who are going to put up a card and say 8.5 or 5.5, and you're not going to sit here and punish yourself because you scored lower than what you anticipated. That's not what living should be about. It is about doing your part to be a part and to have that moment of taking a spot in this world to say, I did that and it mattered to someone, whether it be a starfish or it be a real person. that is something that you can do. And whether it be just getting up saying, I think I'm just going to take a walk today and smile at every person I see or say hello, that is bigger than what someone has done just staying inside the house and doing absolutely nothing. And yet if you're staying at home and you decide to just paint, or read a book that then you can just comment on with someone else and share your thoughts with someone else. Again, you have to define your way of living, but yet have you made a certain understanding of what that living is? So take a moment to really embrace a moment or remember a moment so that you can look back. Every day is not going to have to be filled with a special moment where you can post it and be all about someone else liking it, whether it was something remarkable or so. I always say to my children and my students, there's a sign that says the greatest applause comes from within, and you are your own applause, no matter what it is, no matter how small it may be. It is big to you, so then therefore it's going to be enormous in your heart and in your soul and your spirit. And so you can tell your mind that. In the words of my mother, God bless us all. Just keep doing you, keep being your sunshine, keep being your light. And no matter what, if it's difficult for you to remember a moment, that can make you laugh, can make you feel loved or feel like you've lived, then do something about that and get up and then make a mark, because it's never too late. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time.